A few years ago, I was traveling with my wife through India. And in an evening, we were watching Hindi TV. Of course, we didn't understand anything. But most of the films, they are telling you a love story. And finally, the couple come together. It was a Bollywood film. And so in India, you cannot kiss in public. So when the couple came together, there was a cut. And then you had a scene with about a dozen women and a dozen men dancing together. And first I was looking at it, and then I was thinking, oh, this looks like similar as Switzerland. And it was nice trees, and then they were zooming out, and then I could recognize a mountain in Switzerland. It was the Titlis. You don't believe it, but 2 days later, a similar scene, a similar film, and a couple came together, a cut, and this time it was the Jungfrau in the Alps. So for people in India, when you are in nirvana, when you are in paradise, you are in Switzerland. So we in Switzerland, we really live in paradise. And Swiss people, they are only 1 per mil of the whole world population. And of course, everybody in the world has the right to live as we live in Switzerland. When this is my grandson, and this was 18 months ago, and a wise man once said, it's not enough just to think about the next 3 quarters or the next quarter. It's really, you have to think about the next 7 generations if you do something. Now, for us in Switzerland, as in the Western Hemisphere, we have 3 problems. One is the peak oil. The other one is our global footprint. And the third one is the CO2 emissions. I will not talk about the peak oil. This is maybe a topic for another talk. I will mainly talk about our footprint. We in Switzerland, as well in Austria, we have a footprint of about 4. It means we would have 4 planets to have so that that everybody in the world can live as we live in Switzerland. In the United States, it's even worse. You need 8 planets to live. Now, what can we do about that? If we want to reduce our global footprint, we have to focus first on energy. Energy is almost 2/3 of the global footprint. And second, it's the food. Food is about 20% of the global footprint. So if if you do well with energy and food, then you are on the safe side. Now, again, if we are talking about energy, then we have 3 points we have to do. We have to work with heating. Heating is consuming about 40% of the energy. We have to talk about mobility, another 40%. And we have to talk about how do we get our electrical power in the future. Switzerland, at present, we have about 20% are renewable energy, and the rest is oil, gas, and nuclear power. When we look at Europe, you are below 10%. And when you look at the United States, they are below 5% renewable. And the question is, how can we go from this 20% in Switzerland renewable to 80 or 90% renewable? And my talk now, I focus on that. In Switzerland, let's talk about heating. Heating, we have really made a big progress. When you were building a building in 1970, then you were using about 22 liters of oil per square meter and year. According to the Doomsday standard, it's just 3.8 liters per square meter and year. So we have improved by a factor of 4 to 6 at similar cost. Then you can add a heat pump, and then you can get again a factor of 3 to 6. I think here in this area, everybody is now doing that. Then people say, yeah, this is nice, but this is much more expensive than the oil heating. Now, let's look at the real heating cost. And these are the heating for a renovated house in Switzerland, a standard house. And it looks a little bit difficult. You have to focus on 2 lines. On the black line here, that's the total cost of ownership for the oil heating. And here, that's the red line, that's the heating with solar panel and heat pump. And what you can see, about 20 years ago, it was much more expensive to heat with a heat pump. Now these 2 curves, they came together, and one is going down and the other is going up. And since 2010, it's cheaper to heat with electrical power, with a heat pump than with oil. So only people, they have too much money today, they will reuse oil heating system. We have also a challenge in heating, and this is in Switzerland, that's about the renovation rate. In Switzerland, we have at the moment about 78% of the buildings still need to be renovated. At present, we're doing that with a rate of 1.1% per year. So it takes about 70 years until we're finished. Now, the government likes to increase that to 2% per year, which take 35 years. And the best would be to increase it to 4% per year. Now, let's talk about mobility. In the past, we had a change in the behavior in mobility. At 1960, the average weight of a car was about 700 kilograms, and in Switzerland, there were 2.4 people sitting in the car in average. Now we have increased, mainly the weight to 1.4 ton, and only 1.3 people are sitting in the car. Now, we are moving 4 times more mass around to get the same mobility as 50 years ago. And 4 times more mass means also 4 times more energy. Of course, we could gain a little bit, a few percent by a better combustion engine, but it's not a factor of 4. So we are using much more energy today for the same mobility. What could we do? We could change. We could change that for the future. We could, at a third of our moving is distances below 500 meters. We could do that also by walking. Then another third of the distances we do are below 5 kilometers. We can do that with the bike. And of course, if you are living in the mountains like here, you can use an electrical bike. Then you can also go up to the mountains. And thirdly, for the rest, you can go with an electrical car. An electrical car is 4 times to 8 times more energy efficient than a regular car. Now, then people again say, this is too expensive because the oil is the cheapest thing. But here again, what we have done a calculation. What are the costs of electricity from a solar panel comparing with the cost of driving with oil? And what you see here, the black curve from oil went up and the curve with solar energy came down. And about 2010, these curves were crossing, and now it's cheaper to go electrical than to go with oil. The only disadvantage is that electrical car today is still more expensive than a car with a combustion engine. Just to give you an image how powerful the sun is, this is my house here in the Jura, and you can see I have put there a solar panel on the roof, and with that solar panel I can supply 10 Teslas for the whole year. So everybody has some roof in their house, and I think we can really become our own energy provider. Now, there is another question. If everything is going into electrical, do we have enough electricity for the future? In Switzerland, we have about 40% of our electricity is nuclear. And in Austria, you don't have any nuclear power. In Europe, you have a lot of coal and nuclear power. And the first question is, can Switzerland do it with 100% renewable electrical energy? And to find out, we were doing a simulation. We were looking on the demand of a year, and then we were calculating how much energy do we get from sun, wind, biomass, and water. And this looks a little bit crazy. What you can see, the yellow is the sun that shines, and then the dark blue at the top, these are our dam storage in the mountains. And of course, you have to use them so that it fits all together. And the nice thing is, Switzerland can go 100% renewable. There are 3 other countries that can do the same thing. One is Austria, one is Sweden, and one is Norway. How is it with the rest? How is it with the whole of Europe? Europe, of course, doesn't have enough dam storage because Europe is too flat. So what can we do then? We have also made a calculation, and we came out that it is possible for Europe, this is the curve for Europe, to switch off all nuclear power, all coal power, and just using renewable, and in addition, a little bit of natural gas. The brown part here is natural gas. The natural gas supports the system with additional energy when it is needed. But you don't have to build additional natural gas power plant because you have already enough to do so. Now, what is the results if you do something like that? The results will be Europe at the moment, they have, or Switzerland at the moment, we are using 5 to 6 tons of CO2 per year. If we want to be sustainable, we have to go down to 1 ton per year. And this we can reach with this strategy. When you look at Europe, you are a little bit higher. You are 8 to 10 tons per year. And you can come down to 1.5 ton. That's already an advantage. And the US, they are using at the moment 15 tons per year. But also they can come down below 2 tons per year. So from the global footprint, this makes sense. Then people are asking, yes, but let's talk about money. How is it? Now, when you look at the past, the prices of oil, they have increased in the whole world of about 6% per year constantly, even if you have up and down. But in average, when you look at average, the prices have increased, and they will increase in the future as well. And if you go with the number of 6% per year, then what can you see? If we don't do anything in Switzerland, we will almost double our cost for energy by 2035. If you don't do anything in Europe, then you will spend more than double as much money for your energy than today. And Europe can save several hundred billions of euros a year if you really go in this direction. And the other advantage is that you are becoming independent of the countries they deliver the oil and gas, and you put that the people, they are working for the future, this work is done here. So there is no reason not to go in this direction. And I think we should really go in focus of our next generation. We should really go into renewable energy. So let's build our vision and make it into a reality. Thank you very much.